Here are your gentle spinal exercises as you progress through your chiropractic care. Now that things have started to open up, we can start to build some strength without going overboard in the spine. The first one we'll do is YWTL. Bit of a mouthful. Each letter stands for the shape you're going to put your arms in. So for starters, Y, bring your elbows up above shoulder height slightly, and then squeeze your shoulder blades back and together, bringing your elbows back. And then release. Again, squeeze back. Being mindful that when you bring your elbows back, you're not also shrugging your shoulders up. You still want to keep your shoulder blades down and back. And then next is W, so bringing your elbows below shoulder height, and then squeeze your elbows back, shoulder blades back and together, and then release. It should feel like the muscles in between your shoulder blades are doing the majority of the work here, and it should also feel like you have a gentle stretch through your chest. Next is the T, so you're gonna bring your arms out to the side and then squeeze your shoulder blades back and together and release. You can be gentle through your elbows with these exercises. It doesn't have to be super straight, but if you wanna go for the extra stretch through your arms, you can reach your fingertips wide. And then finally, for your L, bringing your elbows in tight towards your rib cage, like you're trying to hold on to something in between your bicep and your ribs. And then from here, rotate through the shoulder, like you want to bring your thumbs back behind you. And then release. For the L, this is usually the toughest one for people. So you might feel a little bit of a burn through your arms. That's okay, as long as it isn't painful. It should just feel like you're working. And then relax. Now that our chest has opened up a little bit, we're going to move into a basic plank. Now with this, we want to ease our body into it. And so if you're not ready to go into a full-on plank, not a big deal. You can start elevated on a chair or a table. Main thing is you want to create that nice straight line through your body. So the same way you would create a strong long line through your entire spine and legs when you're in a standing position, you want to mimic that in a plank position. So we'll start with a modified plank down on our elbows. Elbows are directly below your shoulders, and then walk your knees back so that your hips can come down. You don't want to be sticking your butt up in the air. That's not a plank. And then from here, remembering that pelvic position that's neutral through your hips. So you can gently squeeze your pelvis down, stick your butt up behind you until you find that halfway point where it's neutral in your hips. And then just hold here, squeezing through your abs just a little bit. And then release. If you're ready to come into a full-on plank, hands directly below the shoulders, extend the legs back behind you, and from here, squeeze your glutes like you're squeezing your butt cheeks together, extending your legs nice and straight, like you're pressing your heels back as if you're standing on the wall behind you. Shoulders down and away from your ears, and hold strong here. You can also do this down on your elbows. Again, elbows directly below the shoulders, and then extend the legs long. Still keeping your shoulders down and away from your ears the entire time. And your head should be relatively retracted. Don't let your head drop down. Don't let your pelvis drop down. See if you can hold that in 10-second increments. And then next, to take a little bit of a load off of our shoulders and arms and wrists, we'll do head retractions. So with this one, you just want to draw your head back as if you're creating as many double chins as possible, and then release. And again, and release. It should feel like the back of your neck is doing the work to hold your head back. You're not looking up as you do this, and you're not looking down. You want to keep your chin parallel to the ground, and then create the double chins, and then relax. Next, we'll move into a bird dog. So again, coming down onto your hands and knees, hands directly below the shoulders, knees directly below the hips, and then reach one arm out, and then the opposite arm, easing into this movement, extending one leg, and then the other. It should not feel like your entire low back is collapsing as you reach your leg behind you. You should still feel like you have engagement through your abs, so you're reaching your ribs towards your pelvis just a little bit. Belly button is tight. It's not sucked in. It's pulled down towards your pubic bone. And then, to make it more difficult, reach one arm and opposite leg, switch to the opposite side. And then next, going into donkey kicks. So staying in this same position, reaching one leg up, keeping the knee at a 90-degree angle, and then back down. The challenge with this one is maintaining that neutral position through your abs. So again, it's super easy to just let go of everything through our midsection, and that'll help bring the leg up, but you'll notice that that doesn't work anything, and it can put undue strain into your low back. So you really want to maintain that squeeze of your six pack, and then squeeze from the glute to lift your leg up. If your range of motion isn't quite there yet, not a big deal. Just lift your leg as far as it'll go, and then bring it back down. As far as it'll go, and bring it back down. You can ease yourself into this movement over time. Next, we'll bring it into a clam. So again, relaxing our upper body a little bit. You can either rest on your forearm, or you can come all the way down onto your arm, or even all the way down onto the ground. From here, you want your hips at a 90-degree angle and your knees at a 90-degree angle. And then from here, opening up through your ball and socket joint in the pelvis, lifting the knee up, and then closing back. Again, you want to feel like the glute is doing the work. So if you need to, touch your outer glute here with your hand so that you can tell your brain where to activate through that outer glute. Lifting and lowering. And then switch sides. You can also just roll over to go onto your other side. Again, making sure hips are at 90, knees are at 90, and then reach up. Touching the outer glute. There are progressions for all of these exercises, but for now, just focus on the basics, because you can always make the basics harder. Remember, squeeze through your six pack. Try and keep that side body in the exact same distance from the floor the entire time. And then go for the lift of the leg, and you'll notice, oh, that's really an ab exercise. Keeping your shoulder directly above the shoulder, hip directly above the hip, even as you open up. And then finally coming into a fire hydrant. So for this one, we're doing a very similar movement to the clam, but just adding a little more work through the abs. So again, squeezing strong, ribs towards your hips in that tabletop back position, shifting your weight onto one knee and both hands, and then lift your leg out, like you're a dog next to a fire hydrant. And then switch to the opposite side. The main challenge here is trying to maintain a neutral position of your pelvis. So don't let your hips rock really far side to side. That's going to make it more challenging for your obliques as you shift to the side and then reach up. You're really going to have to work through the side of your six pack to get that stabilization. So those are your exercises. You can do 10 reps of each movement. That means 10 on each side for the ones where you're doing 2 different sides, and see how it feels. Nothing should feel like a strain in your body. Nothing should feel painful. If it does feel that way, then stop. You probably need to reduce range of motion, but feel free to ask me questions and I will assess your movement and then let you know where to go from there.